Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm just, first of all, happy to be here. And I can't wait to see what kind of questions I get. I'm going to try to answer them as thorough and good as possible. And hopefully they can help you in your pursuit of the soccer career.
And we have another coach just joined on. This is Leslie Tiger Fitzpatrick. He's based on the East Coast. Leslie is a former player, former pro player. All the coaches are on here now. So here we go. All right. Leslie, could you unmute? Coach, could you unmute?
I got you.
Right, cool.
Leslie in the house.
I think Mix is trying to get in the chat.
What's up, boys?
He's trying to get in the chat right now.
I'm in here.
Questions are starting to come in. This is good.
Johan, you wanna start for Mix?
Yeah, man. Darius, could you allow me to share my screen?
So I'm gonna share. So Coach Johan, just a quick introduction. Coach Johan is based in Seattle, and he has his team on board. We have Coach Daniel in Carlsbad, Coach Tiger, and they're gonna ask questions on behalf of their clubs. Johan is gonna lead us first. He actually has a clip from a national team game with Knicks scoring a goal to an assistant Jozy. So we're gonna watch that really quick. I'm gonna share my screen, and you guys could ask questions from this to Mix and moving forward. But Johan is gonna take it over right now. I'm making him a host, so he is going to share his screen.
All right, guys. So look, this is what I am going to do, so everyone is familiar with Mix and how important he was to the U.S. national team. I shared a couple videos with my players, and and the questions that they came up with were really, really fantastic. I'm really proud of my boys. I'm from Seattle, where I have 3 teams here. I have a U14, a U12, and the a U11 team, and then a couple players scattered about that I invited, that I think they have the ambition and they have the passion to achieve all of their goals, all the goals that they want when it comes to soccer and life. So look, I'm going to share this video. So Mix, you just enjoy this, and then we will take it from there.
Sounds good.
Is everyone seeing?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can talk a little bit while you're showing these. First goal or first assist for the national team, our first game in South Africa. Juan Agudelo, 17 years old at the time, scored the goal. He's a good friend of Darius and Troy as well. 80,000 people at the stands. The day after, we went to visit Nelson Mandela. I hope everybody here knows who that is. If not, you got to Google him. But yeah, that was a pretty good feeling. We won the game 1-0, as you see. Late winner. This is against Russia. We played away. It's the last minute. Little deflection. Could say I'm lucky there, but yeah. 2-2. Russia and the U.S. they got their history, of course. If you look back in the Cold War and everything like that, so that's a fun game as well. Important not to lose that one. I'll tell you that.
So to speed things up a little bit, I know we have Jozy will be joining us, so I'm just gonna move up a little bit about. So look, this clip has a. So Jozy helped create this goal.
Yeah, Jozy sees Wando far post there, and Wando's nice enough to just give it back to me instead of trying to score it himself. And that little karate kick there, I guess. One of the weirder goals I've scored in my career.
Quality to finish. This is the one we like the most. It's coming up, this one.
Okay, so this is Chile, yeah. Chile's a good team, remember that. We played away.
Oh.
And I got Jozy out there. As long as he gets the ball in the box, he'll score. What I really like here is that Jozy, he appreciates the pass, you know. A lot of strikers, they go and celebrate on their own, but he knows that he wouldn't have scored without that pass, so he runs to me. And, he's a good teammate right there who does that.
All right, cool. So So yeah, guys, that was just a little introduction into Mix. So Mix, we prepared some questions for
Hey
you,
guys,
and I'm
hold
just
on,
gonna.
guys. We have Jozy in the building.
Nice.
All right, there we have Jozy Altidore is in the building, guys. He was waiting in the weight room, so sorry about that, Jozy. Good to have you on board, brother. We just watched some clips of you guys.
How you doing, man? How you guys doing?
What's going on, brother?
What's up, big man?
Troy, what's up? Mix, what's up, brother?
What's up?
Mix, wow.
Long time.
How you doing, bro?
We just showed your
Hold on, I'll show him. Let me show it quick.
Wait, hold on,
Oh,
Jozy.
man.
All right. Hold on.
Brother.
what's going
All
on.
right, we're gonna play that clip back. We're gonna play that clip back, and we're gonna have you guys just talk and play about it.
All right. Hold on.
I already talked about this, Joe, so you can lead the way now.
Show me.
Is everyone seeing it?
Yeah, I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, we see it now.
Oh. What's this? Ireland. Wow, when was this?
We lost this game. We can't talk about this game.
That's a good goal, though. That's a good goal. Good ball from
You
Wanda.
tried Wanda there, or you tried Bedoya?
Good ball.
I tried dangerous spot. I don't even know. I'm at it now. Just stop dangerous spot. Yeah, Ireland. Wow, that was a while ago. Those jerseys.
But this is our favorite, Josie. This is our favorite here.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this after.
Favorite here. Yes,
Love
ball,
it.
ball, man. Good dime.
Appreciate it.
Josie Mix was just singing your praises because most strikers that run away and celebrate, you came back immediately.
Yeah, man. He put it
All
on
right,
the plate.
let's take it back. All right. So, Josie first. I guess, Tina, you just came in. We put you on your hot seat. You were talking about that cross pass to Mix or into the box. Coach, what do you have to say about that clip? Johan, what was the question about for Josie on that?
Oh well, the question for Josie. No, the question was just well, I just have a series of questions, bro, and I will just. I think it's better if I just run through them because
Go ahead.
part of the questions had to deal with if everyone else, could you please mute yourself and just leave the coaches? The questions were just based on like most memorable goal, and we were just going to share those clips just for people to develop a better understanding of like who we're actually speaking to, because we're trying to develop a culture of football, and connecting and understanding like how these players can compare themselves to Josie and Mix is very, very important. I think American players don't watch enough soccer on television, so as much time as I have, I can show them clips. So now they can do research and they can go and check players out and start changing the American culture a little bit and help these boys to become more passionate about the game. So look, we came up with some questions for you guys, right? So I'm just gonna go through them and I'll just open the floor, Darius, if that's good.
Yeah, just go with what we're gonna go around all the coaches. So you go with your first question. We go Leslie. We go Coach Daniel. We just interchange it like that. So go your first question.
All right. So the first question for Mix is it could come from a player called Maddox. He's from my boys 017. He wants to know, what was the turning point in your life that made you play for US soccer? Because we know you're from Norway originally. Your mom is from the US, and you first started to play professionally in Norway, we believe. So we just wanted to know, like, what was the turning point in your life that made you play for US soccer? How did that come about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, my mom's from Arizona. My father's from Oslo, Norway. So growing up in Norway, I played for Norwegian teams and everything like that. And I played for the youth national team of Norway and also the youth national team of the US. And then it came to a point where I kind of had to choose. And I didn't really know what to choose because I felt like I belonged to both countries. And at the end, I said, first come, first serve. Whoever calls me first and wants me, I'll go to. And then a couple of days later, Jurgen Klinsmann called me, and you don't turn down Jurgen Klinsmann when he calls you. So he invited me to Gold Cup, And from that day forth, I belong to the men's national team, and I haven't looked back at all. So it's been a pure joy from there.
Nice. Coach Leslie, Leslie was a former player. You probably played against Jozy at some point or mixed. Leslie, you have a question to Jozy on this?
Hey, what's up, boys? Mix, Jozy, good to see you guys. Great to be on the panel. Jozy, I hope Toronto is still treating you all right. I left a couple months ago to come down to Virginia, but I'm still back and forth. One of my questions is just when you face adversity in the game, you know, you're having a streak where, say, Jozy as a striker, you're not scoring a lot of goals, or Mix, you just hit a bad patch of form. You know, what do you do mentally to like work yourself through that and to be resilient enough to come back and, you know, trust in yourself? How do you guys work through adversity, whether it's through a bad patch of form or through injuries or anything like that?
Jozy, go ahead.
Hey, Jozy, unmute yourself, brother.
There you go. Sorry, I was muted. No, that was a great question. For me, I think I'm superstitious in the sense where when everything feels right, when everything's the smaller things, when they feel right, then I feel more confident. So when I say the smaller things, I mean like just simple passes, you know, completing a simple pass, hitting the target, in training, just trying to get reps in on goal and seeing the ball hit the goal. So for me, it's those type of things. Like I have a checkbox kind of when I'm in a drought, you know, and I pay attention to it more so than ever when you're in a drought, you know, making sure, you know, you get some strikes on the ball, finishing, make sure you're hitting the target, just completing little passes. You know, balls come into you where sometimes when you're confident, you can backheel it and do something more difficult. But when you're in a rut, it's probably more beneficial just take a good touch, hold it up, and complete a pass. You know, to visualize something good happen helps you kind of break out of that, in my opinion.
No, I agree, because soccer is a lot about confidence, if you do well or bad, and it's about, you know, going back to the basics, as Jozy said, and training and whatnot, and yeah, just getting back to it, not putting down yourself too much.
All right. Coach Daniel's based in San Diego. He has some teams and clubs out there, a lot of youth soccer, some phenomenal young players in San Diego. Coach Daniel, do you have a question from your club? You know,
Yes. What's up, man? Hi, guys. I hope you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, like everybody, I got 100 questions, but I felt I'll start with a basic one. I'm here in Southern California. It's definitely a hotbed for soccer, for both women's and men's. And I would ask you guys, whichever one can answer, is what is the best way for a young boy or girl to try to achieve their goals, to get to college or get to be a professional? Is it one private or two private sessions with a coach a week? Is it trying to do tour-a-days? Is it going to practice 4 hours a day? Or you're trying to go to club practice for 4 times a week? Or do you try to be on the best team possible? You know, there's different roads to success, but I think a lot of people want to hear, what is your story? How did you guys get to the top in a very, very saturated, very competitive area like here in Southern California? Thoughts?
Go ahead, Mix. You West Coast, bro.
For me, I was the smallest kid on the team. I played with guys who were 1 and 2 years older than me. For me, it was just practicing more than them. Even though, you know, they were bigger and stronger and everything like that, if I wanted to compete with them, I knew I had to train more and train harder. So for me, it was about watching as much football as possible, not just for the joy of it, but also studying the game. The people in my positions, what do they do when they get the ball, when they're not on the ball? And also just, you know, you got to love the game as well. So I had a ball with me when I'm going to school, when I'm home. Would show up to practice maybe an hour before just to train on the things I wanted to. And then a half hour after practice is over, I'm standing there and bringing one of the two guys with me of my teammates to help me out and work on what I have to work on. So it's about just the passion for the game. And if you want to get better, you just got to train more than everybody else. of course, there's different roads, and some maybe don't have to train as much as other people, and they have, they don't want to work their brains out. But it's not only about talent. You gotta work hard. You gotta grind it, and it's a long journey. It's not gonna take a month or two or a year or two. You have to go in for the long run, and that's the people who can do that. They'll succeed in a higher rate, I would say.
Hey, I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense. So not only we see it in the movies, you actually got to do it in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Will, do you want to take a stab?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Mick said. I think the biggest misconception people think is there's some magic ingredient, that there's a trick you can do. And there is an ingredient, but everybody has the recipe, and it's hard work. And it's just like Mick said, being concentrated and dedicated to what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, nobody else can make it happen but you. And the same, you have the same opportunity in terms of training, getting your body right, training your first touch, training your technique, there's nobody taking that opportunity away from you when you're learning the game and growing up. That's all time. That's all how much you want to improve at it. And at the same time, I think kids have to make it fun. I think a lot of times we get away from the idea of expressing yourself and enjoying yourself on the field, and it gets too rigid. It gets too people, too many coaches, with all due respect to the coaches out there, I love them, but I think too many coaches stifle these kids and take out that individuality that they like to bring to the game. I think that's important, especially in a game like soccer. So, concentration is important, hard work is important, and just willing to put in the hours. Because at the end of the day, when you get to this level, Mix can tell you the technique, the fitness, these things, everybody has at a certain level. And the ones that put in, that more work are going to be able to eclipse and still climb.
Love it.
One thing that Jozy did more than me, he went to the gym a lot more than me. So you guys can see that, look at pictures.
Wait,
it all counts, right? It all counts.
On that note, you said Jim, and I was going to take a question from Troy, but Troy did a podcast on You'll Train with Gail Clichy, and I thought something really cool Gail said was, he said that him and Vincent Kompany were both injured at one point in City, and the coach had them doing the exact same recovery, and Gail said, either Vinny or me are not getting the right treatment because our body types are different, right? Is that something that you look at, Mix? You guys have different body types. Mix is a little bit more lean and wiry, but Jozy's more built and stronger. What do you say to kids who want to figure out their body type? Mix and then Jozy.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, you got to look at the positions. Like Jozy, for him, he's a power forward. I don't know if you can say that in soccer terms, but yeah. So for my position as a midfielder, I have to do a lot of running, and having a lot of weight on me maybe isn't the best thing. Jozy is very explosive, and he's quick and he's strong, and he needs those couple sprints while I'm more of a jogger around the whole field the whole game. So you adapt to the position you have. But people, it's genetics as well. People have different body types, and that's what I love about soccer. You don't have, like in basketball, you have to be, at least over 190 centimeters. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is in feet, but you have to be a certain height. And in soccer, you got all types of body types basically. And I think that's a really cool thing. You can be, look at Messi, one of the world's best football players. He's short or small, and then he can be 2 meters long and also succeed. So I think that's the cool thing about football.
I have a question for both of y'all that I think, since we have so many young players on here, what advice do both of y'all have for these young guys to get ahead from the aspect of how do they get into the best college? Should they go to university versus try to go abroad? How, is the game changing where the decision to go play abroad or at an academy, any advice or tips both of y'all may have for a young player that is at that age now where they want to get an edge? Obviously work hard, train hard, but there's certain things maybe now that you guys are ahead, you may have tips or advice, looking back, what worked for other guys. What would you say is good advice?
Jozy? You're on mute.
Sorry. It's tough, man, because obviously in our system you have a lot of different ways to kind of, one, get through education, and two, kind of climb the ladder in soccer. So it's hard for me to sit here and say, okay, this path is better than another one, you know. And I think every kid is different. You know, some kids, you know, put a lot of focus on academics and wanting to graduate, and I think that's very important. And I think if you have the avenue to do both, then you should do both. It's a very different approach, I realized, in our game as compared to the game in Europe. Obviously, it's the same game, but in terms of how you get to Europe or how you turn professional, the avenues are a bit more difficult in the United States. So I wouldn't necessarily say that college, you should bypass it. I would say it depends on the player. I think some players are more ready at different times to then say, okay, they don't need college soccer. They can go straight to an MLS or abroad. So it depends on the player, but college is by no means, to me at least, a waste of time. Depending on the school you go to, and again, what you put in while you're there, I think can still help you progress as a player and have the educational side as well.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in Norway, it's a different system than the States. So I turned pro when I was 18 years old, but education was important for me. So I went to university on the side and took, courses that way. So, I mean, yeah, you turn professionally at an earlier stage of your career in Europe, but as Jozy said, it depends on the person if you're ready or not for it. So that's a difficult question from Troy, because there's no one right answer on that one.
Yeah. All right, I'll take a question from the group now. Owen just typed in mix. All right, Jozy first. What is your favorite soccer move?
This is for me, or should I mute again?
Jozy, what's your favorite soccer move?
First, what's up, Owen? Thanks for being on the call, man. Appreciate you guys for having us. I forgot to say thank you at the top of the call. Go-to move. That's a tough one. I'm not the most technical. You're not going to see me do a bunch of step overs when I was younger, maybe. But nowadays, it depends. It just depends. I mean, I feel like I'm more of a box striker now. So just trying to get to the first post. I know it's not really much of a move you would think of, like a Neymar or something like that, but I think I've gotten a lot of goals lately by just trying to get to the near post and just trying to beat my defender and scoring a lot more goals in the box. So that's probably my go-to move, just trying to make room for myself in the area and just trying to figure out where the ball's going to drop, because I've had some success in the last few years doing that.
All right, Mix.
Yeah, see, that's a true goal scorer speaking right there. He just wants those goals, Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not biggest dribbler either. I'm more of a passer. So for me, it's, the no-look pass. For me, I love those. And if it's possible to play through teams with a no-look pass, I think that's, a beautiful part of the game. So I'm going to go for that.
All right.
Mix and Jozy. Logan asked, who were your favorite players when you were kids?
Nice, good question.
For me, that was Iniesta and Pirlo. Okay. And I was lucky enough to play with Pirlo in New York later in life. I haven't told him, though, so don't tell him.
I'm going to tweet it right now. Jozy, what about you?
Oh, so many good ones, but has to be the Brazilian Ronaldo and Thierry Henry. Those two for me were good. They transcended the number 9 position for me. Those were the start. Obviously, you have Pele, you have George Weah, but those guys, I don't know, they did it in they were technical, they were strong, they could do everything. And I love strikers that can score every type of goal. So those guys for me are the ones.
And for the young kids, there's more than one Ronaldo out there.
Oh yeah, right? The R9, El Fenomeno, that's what we called him back then.
Coach Johan, go back to you. Give us a question again from your club.
Well, I'll just stay connected to that question there. You guys were just speaking about your favorite players. I have a couple players on my teams that, for example, Enzo wants to know, what is the most difficult player you guys have played against, defender, and why?
I'll go. For me, it's a tough one, but I have to go with, I would say Cannavaro was difficult, and Vidic. Vidic and Cannavaro. Vidic because he's a butcher, and I'm not a violent person, but he's a butcher. I mean, this guy, the art of the tackle and crunching tackles as well. He's not just taking the ball from you. He's always taking a piece of you.
Right.
And in a way, not a foul, clean. You know, he's just such a tough player. And Cannavaro, because I never forget when I first played against him, I was 19. We were playing the Confederations Cup with the national team. We're playing against Italy. It was a big game. I was playing against my friend Giuseppe, who I think some people know, and he was American, and he chose to play for Italy. So I see Cannavaro, we're walking out, and I'm like, this guy, man, I got this guy. You know, he's like 5'4", whatever. I was like, I'm gonna run around this guy all day. And wow, that was in a different way, so difficult. He was always, every time I turned, he was there. He was so smart. He was always thinking a play ahead. And that was such a difficult matchup because I feel like doesn't matter how big or strong I was, I couldn't get by him.
I have a question regarding the previous one that I asked you guys about who your favorite players were. If you would have been, and this is something that I do on the podcast for you, Train, because the whole purpose we're doing this is to give a platform for young players to be able to speak to their idols like now. If you were able to speak to, you know, your favorite player, Thierry Henry, for example, and mix, you know, Messi, how would this have, or Pirlo, sorry, how would this have changed, you know, what advice that they could have given you? How would this have changed your excitement for the sport, your discipline for the sport, your commitment to the sport?
You're giving tough questions today, Troy. I would say maybe how they approach the game and training every day. Because you go through stretches where it is tough. We were talking about earlier, and your confidence gets low and things like that. So just how they mentally prepare for games and training, and what they did, and how they saw flaws in the game to get better in that, or if they directly went on the things they were good at and made that better, or if they looked at their flaws and tried to get that high as well. That's something I always wondered when I was a kid.
Yeah, I have to echo Mix. I think the biggest difference for me, and when you asked Troy about how would a call like this have made a difference, I don't remember that I ever had this opportunity, but I remember when I signed with Red Bull and I was 17 years old, and Red Bull had just signed Juan Pablo Angel, Colombian striker from Aston Villa.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, and I got to see him every day. How he was the best played player, the whatever. He had everything. He was the guy, and I saw how he worked every day, and immediately I was like, this is somebody I want to follow. And he was the best player by margins, but he worked incredibly hard every day. Right foot, left foot, fitness in the gym. There wasn't a day that went by where he say, I'm not doing this today, or I'm not going to try to be the best player in training. I can't stress enough how important that mentality is in training every day. Every day wanting to go out there and be the best and wanting to improve, whether it's your first touch or hitting the target in training or keeping the ball, not giving away balls. You have to constantly challenge yourself, because the game in our country, you have different levels. There are some kids that are playing on clubs right now on this call that may be way better than kids on their team and think, okay, this is what I need. If that's the case, you have to challenge yourself, right? You have to say, okay, I have to score 10 goals today in training, or I have to complete 50 passes. I have to give away less than 5 balls. That's the kind of mentality you have to have. You have to constantly be competing with yourself and just trying to be as good as you can be. That's what I learned from the top players I was around. Every day they went after it.
Yeah, I want to add to that, because when Jozy says about the player he played with in Red Bull, that like the best players that I've played with have always been best in training as well. Yeah. Like they don't switch off. They're best every single day at training, and that's what makes them great. You can think, oh, okay, they're just in games they're doing good, and then they're just chilling in training because they know that they're best. But no, they want to get better every single day. So they're giving 100% each day in training.
Another trick question for you guys: with how the game has changed from since when you started, again, because we have young kids on the call that we want to, make this most fruitful for them. How has the game changed, and what's a good way for them to train to adapt to the change that's happened in soccer?
Jozy's played longer than me, so he can You can answer that one.
Second time you diss me, Mix. All right. Try to
What?
sound. I ain't trying to
It's
get
fact.
old.
You're living older than me.
Time, man. I'm gonna fight you when I see you now. But Troy, I would say, yeah, it's a good question. I would say the speed of the game, man. Just, you have to. I think the biggest thing for young kids today, they have to limit the time in between touches. It sounds very simple, but I think the quicker you can prepare yourself and prepare your body for the next play or the next pass is hugely important. Because when, for example, when Mix talks about Iniesta wasn't the fastest player, but his body positioning was fantastic. His first touch was fantastic. His awareness, amazing. So no matter how fast the game was, no matter how fast the players around him were, he could always affect the game. So that's what I would tell kids today, that, your body positioning, your first touch, and just your overall being comfortable on the ball is going to be hugely important as the game continues to get more difficult, faster, stronger, and just overall higher level.
Yeah, I agree 100% with Jozy. The game's so much faster now than it was, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, you need to know what you're going to do with the ball before you get it, basically.
Nice. Coach Daniel, I want to ask you a question and send questions to you.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Appreciate that, Darius. You guys hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good. So I had a couple of questions, of course, on my end, just like, so what a lot of strikers and midfielders ask me is like, okay, what can I do to become a better striker? So, for example, like Kobe Bryant would wake up at 5 a.m. and he would shoot for an hour. Or you have Beckham will stay after practice and he'll shoot 150 free kicks, et cetera, et cetera. What for you guys that you had a routine for you guys to feel comfortable that you were hitting that ball well to scoring? Was there a routine? Did you shoot every day, an hour after, before practice? Or what was your routine to get you there, especially when you reached that top pro level?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, shooting and goals for me, I mean, as I said earlier, I would ask the second goalie to stay an extra 20 minutes with me after training, because I wanted to become a better finisher. And then you don't do exactly only the things, the free kicks and things like that. You want to shoot from different angles. You want to do it in high speed. You can't just do it in like a non-game speed. That's a thing I always stress about, because, if you're jogging to the goal and shooting, it's going to be easier because you're not stressing. But if it's a high pace, it's more difficult, and that's more game-like. So try to do everything as much game-like as possible when you're doing these exercises. I think it's I can't stress about how important I think that is.
Okay.
Yeah, I would echo what Mick said. I think when you see guys like Lewandowski, or you see Benzema's goal the other day, I don't know if you guys saw that goal the other day with the touch and bang, he hit it. And people think, oh, it's luck or this. It's not luck. These guys are training. You have to train for a striker, for example. If you want to be a good striker, you have to train crossing and finishing almost every day or 3 times a week, 20, 30 minutes, taking balls from both sides, headers, volleys, running near posts. Maybe have a coach just drop balls for you in the box, because sometimes in the box, the ball drops and you have one touch. You can only get a shot off, or you can dink it back post like that goal we showed earlier for Mix, So you have to always train to your mind to make sometimes the most effective decision, where it's putting the ball in a dangerous spot, shooting it far post without sometimes being able to have a good view of the goal. And so these things come, and you have a lot of these moments when you train them. The training ground is your best friend. I think, to add to Mick's point too, when I turned pro, you get less time to train. So it's even more difficult to stay sharp around these things, because you try to decrease that so you're ready to play on a Saturday. And so all that extra work that you're able to do, especially at a young age and as you grow, is very important to make sure that, when the ball drops in the box, you're ready. You've shot a ball in that position before, so you're not uncomfortable. And it sounds hard, but when you get into the habit of training these things all the time, it becomes a way of life and kind of just how you are as a player.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because us as coaches, because we got 2-3 teams and we're training all these kids and we're trying to get them to pass, trap, move. We are all guilty of it. I've gone better. I'm sure Tiger could attest. Hello? Yeah.
Someone.
we don't everything's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't like to always let the players shoot every practice because we got to do all sorts of stuff. And down here, we only have 2 practices a week, maybe 3. Unfortunately, we don't get around to shooting, and then we kind of mad on a Saturday or Sunday when the kids can't score. So it seems like from what you guys are telling me, every practice I need to put in there 20 or 30 minutes of some sort of finishing or shooting to get these kids as many reps as possible outside of the kids doing it on their own. So I appreciate that answer, guys.
All right, Jozy and Mix, this is my question because I like, through my college career and everything, I dealt with a lot of injuries. How do you guys deal with, I had 2 ACL surgeries. How do you guys deal with, bouncing back your mindset, coming back from injuries? I know it's tough, but I don't know, Mix, you want to go first, and then Jozy, how do you
Yeah,
guys?
I mean, I don't really have a lot to say there. I've been so lucky in my life that I've missed 2 games, I think. Just I've never been really out with injuries for a long period of time. That could be because I don't have like a explosive body with a huge amount of muscle. So I compare myself often to like a boiled spaghetti. It's difficult to put that in half. But Josie, you've been through some injuries, right? Yeah.
Yeah, many, man. I sympathize with you. I know what that's like, and I think the toughest part about the injury is the beginning, right? Because you're only thinking about how much time it's going to take for you to get back to where you need to be. But I actually learned a trick throughout so many of those hamstrings, ankle surgeries. It's actually time you can use to get better. And I don't want to be that guy that sounds like, oh, he's always talking about getting better. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult, but you have to find a way to enjoy the struggle. And I think that is something too, where a lot of kids are trying to, go around it. You can't go around it, and so when I'm injured, I love the 7 months I have, first maybe a month, you're kind of taking care of the injury, and then the rest you're trying to work back on things that maybe you weren't as good at before your injury. Maybe once on one leg or getting stronger on the. You just try to turn that time into a positive and use that time to be stronger than you were before the injury.
All right, cool, man. Good question coming in from Kyler. Josie, before someone crosses the ball, how do you know where to make a run?
Ooh, it's a difficult one. Well, that comes too with training. Depending on who's on the ball, what I like to do after trainings is I train with the right winger. In this case, on my team now, it's a Japanese player. I train with the number 10 on our team. So depending on who's on the ball and where they are, I kind of have an idea of where to run. So if it's the right back, he's a Brazilian guy, Aro. He likes to chip the ball a little bit more middle and far post. So I'll maybe run near to make the defender look I'm going near to open up the space to go the other way. And if it's a guy like Pozuelo, he can put it in anywhere. So he's a guy that he's so gifted that he can wait till I run and then play the ball. Where some players you have to run first, but he's so gifted that he kind of can wait till I run and I can set up my defender and then he plays the ball. So relationships are important when a ball comes in the box. But what I would tell you, if you don't know the player or if it's a new scenario situation, I would always tell a center striker to try to get to the near post. A lot of balls drop in and around the middle and near post area. And if you're able to get there, you might get hit by the goalie, but your reward is a tap in sometimes. So it's tough, but I would say middle and near post, if you don't know the player, is your best bet.
Nice. Coach Johan, you have a third question from your club?
Yeah, man. Well, I just gonna spice up things a little bit. As Josie knows, we're in Seattle here, are his rivals. And I have a U11 team that, to be honest with you, bro, I like their passion. They wanted to ask you some very in-depth questions on a few things. So Darius, could you allow me to share this
Yeah,
with
we'll give you that 1 second.
Right. So we've been talking about adversity and how we're overcoming obstacles. Josie, my players would want my U11 players. Shout out to my U11 players, Owen and the entire team, for doing this. Let me share something. Give me 1 second. You win. This is what you guys were waiting for. So here goes. So my players who love Seattle Sounders, one would like to know, when you're talking about adversity, they want to know about this save, how your reaction after the save, your reaction in the weeks after, just how did you recover at that moment in time? Because I think the game went into penalties after. But they want to know, how did it feel when Fry made this save?
Center Ricketts, no one in the middle. Torres went to ground early. Now the cross out to
I mean, look, man, it's a good save, but I don't think it's that amazing of a save. I think he should always look. That may be the sourness in me, but I think he should always get there. Looking at the replay, the ball came in a way where I couldn't get too much power on it, so I thought he should always get there. But it's a great save, and it's a tough one because I did thought at the moment it had a chance to go in, but that's hard, man, because it took us to penalty kicks and we lost in that game. So for me, I was obsessed with the next season. Coming back fit and destroying everybody. And I wanted Seattle so bad in the final, and we got them. But that's a good question because when you have big moments like that, that was a huge final, our first cup final as a club in the history of the club. The entire city, was waiting on that game, and you don't win that game. It's a huge disappointment. But when I tell you it fueled everybody, we took like a week off, and everybody started their workouts at home, and it became an obsession to get back to that game and to win the cup final. So I would say that sometimes big disappointments are great motivators because you learn from them. You see what you didn't do right and what you could have done better, and it allows you to come back even stronger than before.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Yeah. Quality.
All right. We have a question in the chat. Before you're about to play a big game, what precautions do you take to get yourself prepared for the game? So I guess maybe how do you guys get in the mindset for a big game coming up next? What's your thing? How do you get in the right mindset?
I mean, yeah, of course you get a little bit nervous before the big games, but I think that's a good thing almost because you don't want to get in too relaxed and everything. You want to have the right tension. So you're just trying to do the normal things on game day, get the food, the right food in, and maybe get some morning stretch and these things, and then just be mentally prepared for the game. If it's visualizing, if it's getting a nap in or anything like that. But I think a lot of players have their own thing. But for me, it's just trying to stay as relaxed as possible and posed. And I like to watch some video of the team we're playing against the day before or the day of. And it's just trying to get into your routine that you normally have on, let's say, regular games. If you're playing a certain big game, you don't want to do anything crazy different, I would say.
Nice. Troy, you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. CC Hopwood, thank you for this question. This is a tough one. Let me pull it up. Essentially, she says, as a player, vision is one of the hardest skills to improve. What do you recommend to improve your vision in your passes and in your game? That's a hard one.
Should
I take that one, Jozy, or you want to do that?
Staring at you, bro. You the passer. You the maestro,
All right. So growing up, I went to a specific soccer school, and when I was 15 years old, they showed us a video. I think it was one of Lampard and one was Steven Gerrard, and they're midfielders, same as I am. And I saw on the video they're just filming them not on the ball, and the amount of times they turn their heads to look where the players are on the field is just astonishing. It's like, 10, 12 times in a 20-second span. So I think that's extremely important when you're playing, not to just be focused on the ball, but like your vision, like I don't have better vision than you. We got whatever vision we got here, but it's about turning your head and not focusing too much on one thing at the same time. You're trying to get in as much as possible around you. And that's definitely the most part of finding out where your opponents and your teammates are. And of course you have to do it before you get the ball, because once you get the ball, then it's going to be more difficult because then you have a ball you can't lose.
All right,
Josie.
guys, we'll take a couple more rounds of questions and then let these guys go and recover. Mix is in Sweden right now. Jozy is in his preseason. Preseason still, Jozy?
Yeah, we're basically restarting. Yeah, I'm in Toronto, so basically a preseason again now.
All right, cool. Coach Leslie, you have a question. You want to shoot these guys? One last question. Let me ask you to unmute. Okay, you're muted. I feel like he's driving and Zoom call.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Any other coaches want to ask a question?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I think he's
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry guys. I guess
yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
I had to mute there.
for a
Yeah.
second, but I had a question in terms of specialization.
Hey, Coach Tiger, could you turn the radio
Specialization
down
in
maybe?
terms of both position and in terms.
Nah.
Oh yeah, we have to. Like caller is out of
Any
already.
other coaches want to take a jab?
All right, Coach Daniel in San Marcos.
You're on mute, brother.
You're on mute.
Yeah, this is the last one. Is there such a thing as overtraining, and how much rest, mental rest and physical rest, do you need as a youth player, if you guys can remember that far back?
I mean, to be honest, I trained a lot more when I was younger than I do now, because now we got games, and you know the clubs, they don't want us to train too much because they want us to be fresh and fit for games. But from when I was 13, 14 until I was 17, I was training morning sessions for 1.5 hours, and then after school I had 1.5 hours of training. So just a lot, maybe double amount of soccer training when I was younger, because you feel more fresh, your recovery time is much quicker. So definitely use that time you have right now at a young age, because that's what's going to make it or break it.
Great answer.
Jozy.
Jose.
Josie, you're on mute again.
You're on mute, brother.
No, I echo what Mick said perfectly. I think that's exactly right. Training, you have to spend time with the ball, man. The more time you can spend on the ball, even if it's just dribbling around the house, the ball at your feet and being comfortable with the ball. I can't stress enough how important that is at this level, to be able to pass and play and move in any type of situation. You want to be an all-around footballer and not somebody that's one-dimensional. Even if you're center back or right back, even a goalkeeper. I would say to goalkeepers, work on your feet. You see where the game is trending now. Don't wait, to then say, okay, I'm going to work on it now. Work on it now. Become an all-around goalkeeper that can slice balls, that can throw, that can play with his feet. That's one thing I would say that is really beneficial for young players, is that they can see kind of where the game is going and put the time in now if that's where they want to go.
Appreciate it, guys. That's great.
Nice.
Yo, can you hear me now? I was a little bit loud. I'm driving, so I got some stuff going on. But I was just asking in terms of specialization, both, we get a lot of questions from parents. Should my kid be specializing in soccer at an early age? What's the right age to specialize? And then even in terms of positions, like as coaches now, and when we grew up playing the game, we were playing multiple positions up to a certain age. And then, eventually we had to specialize. What do you guys think about that?
Josie.
Mix, that's all you, bro.
Okay, that's a good question. That's a good question. I can say my personal experience and what I think. Yeah, so I played basically every single ball sport possible when I was growing up. I wanted to play. It was tennis, squash, basketball, soccer, golf, all these things, and it was I didn't want to quit the other things in order to play soccer, because I knew soccer was the route I wanted to go. But for me, it was important to play these other positions in other sports. Like as a basketball player, I was a point guard, and I think that helped my soccer career later in life. But it comes to an age where you see the amount of training and work you have to put into I pursued this soccer career. So when I was, 14, 15 or 15 years old, we were training 5-6 times or more than that, sorry, 11, 12 times a week, which made it difficult to play basketball on the side. I remember one time I had a basketball game in the morning, and then I went straight to a soccer game. And after 15 minutes of the soccer game, I got a cramp, and I was too scared to tell my coach why I had a cramp. So that was the last day I played 2 sports. So I was about 15 when I stopped playing different sports. But I mean, to this day, I still have fun playing golf and basketball on the side, but nothing too extreme.
Jozy?
Yeah, I don't even know. It's such a hard question because I think it's personal preference when you talk about the parent side of things. Like, I think you have to, in my opinion, you have to let your son or daughter play what they enjoy, whatever they find passion in, not necessarily sometimes what they're better at. So there's the balance there where I can understand some parents want to kind of encourage them to maybe play the sport that they don't enjoy as much, but are better at. So to that one, I think it's dependent on the parent. I'm not going to tell somebody how to parent. But in terms of the soccer and specializing the position, it's kind of similar to that in the sense where as kids grow older, I think you kind of can understand what they're good at and what parts of this field they're able to take up well, confidently, other attributes of their game, maybe bigger, towering players obviously tend to be center backs, but they can also be strikers. And it just dependent on the player, the moment in time in their career, and again, where they feel comfortable on the field. Because you can't specialize a kid at 5, right? You can't specialize a kid at 8. But 14, 15, you kind of have an idea, again, where they're comfortable on the pitch, what their attributes, their skill, their speed, their power, where it best suits the team, and where they can be also dynamic in their play. Because you see a lot of guys today, for example, that were right wingers, and they're transformed to right backs. Because modern day right backs, you have to be able to get up and down the field. You have to be fit. You have to have good technique as well, be able to cross the ball. So, it's the game is changing, and it's such a tough question and a great question. And it just shows you that me and Mix, we don't know it all. And we're obviously always learning as well. So, but that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's perfect. I mean, you look at somebody like Alphonso Davies, who started out as a winger, and now, he's one of the best left backs in the Bundesliga, right? So,
and I want to touch on that real quick because that's a great example. A guy that, on a different team, he was a left winger, right? Left striker. And Bayern Munich bought him and said, you know what? Maybe those attributes, those tools can be more useful as a left back. And now he's turned into basically a left back striker, winger. The guy's a juggernaut right now out there. He's incredibly quick. His recovery time, his technique, his ability to make assists and score. I mean, that's literally the perfect left back. But, that's a great example of a player that can really play multiple positions. But the coach has a good eye to use him in a place that's the best for the team.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we try to emphasize to kids when we're coaching them is, I might see you in a certain way, but then you get into another situation with another coach or another team, and that coach sees you in a different light. And so, that's one of the things why we want players to be much more all-rounded when they're growing up, to be able to use both feet, to be able to play multiple positions. Because I might see you as, hey, I think Jozy's a striker, and then you go to, a country where everybody else is like 5'4", and they're like, oh, Jozy's going to be a goalkeeper or the best center back, and so coaches are always going to see you in different lights. So for players, it's important to work on your craft and to know that you can do it in multiple different positions. And then eventually, you want to specialize probably in 1 or 2 spots. But I think growing up, that's how we did it. We played 5-6 positions, and then that versatility is what kind of made us more marketable, when we were coming out of the Caribbean.
Yeah, you're here.
I want to touch on that. Sorry to stay so long on this. And this is the challenge to the kids too out there. I think that's important. I think you have to be able to, especially at a young age, deal with coaching decisions. It's not always going to go your way. You may not always play the position you want to play, but that also is very important at the professional level, where guys play big roles that may not be the most talented, but they have 14, 15, 16-year careers because they know how to do a job, whether that be a right back, whether that be a number 6 for a game, whether that be a left back for a game. So I think it's really important and a challenge to kids to understand that if you want to, if anything you're doing, when you're playing in a team, you have to look at the bigger picture and what you can do to make the team the success. So being a team player is very, very important, and being open-minded and understanding that, it's not always about you. It's about the group as well.
Yeah, I made 2 team of the weeks as a center back at 5'6", and it's like
Look. I have so I just want to stick with that topic a little bit. A couple of, the majority of my teams, even though they are all different age groups, they had this question for both of you guys, men. What motivates you most in soccer? And the final one is, what are the most important values and principles you have in your life? And I think that would be my final question for on behalf of my players and I, like your most valued principles and values for your life, and then what motivates you guys most in soccer.
Okay, we're going deep here, huh? What motivates me? For me, it's just the love of the game. I would be playing football 100% if I wasn't a professional. After work, I would still go out with my friends to play football. That's how much I love this game. And to the other question, what was that again? That was
what would motivate you in life, like your most valued principles and in life.
Valued principles in life.
That's deep, Mix. That's deep.
That's deep. I mean, for if you bring it into soccer, for me, it's about having fun with my friends. I want to do anything for my teammates, and I think that's extremely important, at least in a team sport as football. It's not only individuality. You're doing this for a team, and you feel a camaraderie, and I think that's something special. You don't get that in all, other sports, tennis and things like this, where you have to work and grind by yourself the whole time, which is amazing achievements, but you don't get that backing on those tough days where you can have teammates help you through those days. So for me, that's the incredible thing by playing a team sport that I love.
Nice.
Jozy?
I'll do the second part first about just the values. I'm Haitian. My background's Haitian, so all my Caribbean people on the call, you guys know how Caribbean parents are, and kind of the morals they instill in us. Work hard. Don't expect favors for anybody. That kind of coincides in soccer too. Soccer is a team game, but a lot of what happens to you is depending on you, on how much work you want to put in, how much of a team player you want to be. And so a lot of those morals for me, in terms of how I was brought up, transform into soccer, football. And then to touch on what Mick said too, I'm a huge family guy, and I have a few friends, but not a lot that I consider close friends. And so my teammates tend to be like my family, and that's just my style. I lay my body out for my family, and which is why maybe I have some injuries that are silly or whatever, but I enjoy the success of the team. I really enjoy being part of a collective and completing something, especially when it takes time to get there. So yeah, I love the collective. I love doing things and seeing the bigger picture.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So we just want to wrap it up here. First off, Mix and Jozy, want to thank you guys big time for your time. You're busy, and we just want to let everyone on call know that the whole goal of what we're trying to do here at You'll Train is stuff like this, educating young players through professional players. So anytime you're looking to speak to any professional players, you'lltrainapp.com, check it out. And any last words you all want to say?
Many blessings to you guys. Continued success. I'm rooting for you guys always, except when you play Trinidad and Tobago. You got to back up.
Jozy scored a hat-trick against Trinidad recently. We've been looking at the videos.
You've done some rough things to us too, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for your time. Everyone stay safe, and we'll be watching you on the field.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys having us.
Thank you guys, Jozy. Thank you guys for coming on. Everyone can say thanks now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bye, Jozy. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you. Thanks, Josie.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome, guys.
Josie.
Amazing, Darius.
Welcome,
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Reza.
Zoom, yes?
Hey, this
Zoom. Bless up, guys. Bless up, guys.
World class,
A
world
bunch of
class.
kids, you guys could, yeah, when you log off.
Oh,
tell
no
them
problem.
thanks, man.
Thank you.
Harris, where are you? You in LA?
Yeah, LA, man. Look, it's sunny out here.
Good vibes. Good, man. It's good to see you, bro. You look good, man.
I know, man. I wish I could believe you, man. This is crazy right now.
Ah, you look good. Oh, trust me. People look way rough than that, man. You look good, man. That's good,
Nah,
bro.
bro. How was everything in preseason? You guys good?
Yeah, it's hard, man, because obviously with everything going on, it's just your mind is not necessarily on the football, you know. So it's weird,
Yeah.
but yeah, hopefully we can get through it. Mix, what's over there? How's it over there for you guys, or just in Europe in general? Is it?
No, and it's different in Sweden where I'm right now. They're trying this flock immunity, it's called. So there's so many cases here in Sweden, but they're
Yeah.
trying to make the society immune to it. So it's kind of a test.
They're
So
leaving
in
it-
Norway, where I was earlier, they only have 250 deaths, but here it's a huge number compared to that. So yeah, it's a little bit more risky here, I would say.
No, boys. I appreciate you guys, not for real.
Yes, brother.
And yeah, that's what Troy and I we're working on, bringing on all our friends, all the coaches across America, just to spread this through soccer first, and then we want to reach out to the other sports. But definitely, since we're based in soccer, all our friends mix Disney. You guys are with us from jump, so.
You should get DeAndre on here, man. He'd be great on here. He's younger. He'd be great on here too for you guys.
He's from Seattle as well. Yeah, he's from Seattle.
Oh yeah, he's from Seattle as well. He'd love to.
Yeah.
He'd love to.
Josie, when are you going down to Florida?
We're supposed to go July 3rd, man, but I woke up today and CNN said there's more cases down there. Another 4,000
Wow.
cases.
So the whole MLS season will be played in Florida, or
We're just trying to start and play 9 games a team. To try to finish as many games as possible. And then we're going to come home, and then we're going to play like in Europe, fly to the game, no fans, play, and then come back. But I think if they wait to do that, they can only play 10, 15 games. So going to Orlando gives them another 8 or 9 games. That's why we're going down there.
Okay.
Empty stadium.
Good luck.
Empty stadium, man. Empty everything, man. I'm going to try to get to the NBA. The NBA's down there too.
Yeah. You got that fake fan noise in the background. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird, man. But
You guys
the whole
watching
world's
Premier
doing
League?
it, so
You watch Premier League?
of course, brother. I've been watching.
No, I was just saying if you watch the empty stadium with the how quiet it is, man.
Weird.
Nuts.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, I'm gonna go eat, man.
Boys.
I'll take care.
All right, boys.
Thanks, bless.
Appreciate
All right,
it.
y'all.
Thanks, Mix.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Darius.
Yo.